What the Church of Scientology is so afraid of.
This is SPTV.
Well, guys, welcome back to SPTV, where my earbud is not working, and I'm going to have to figure out what to do about that before I share with you guys the video that I need to share with you guys. Okay, we're going to cross that bridge when we come to it in a minute or two. The fall of Scientology is happening faster than I think most people realize. And today's video, I'm going to share with you an excerpt of an interview that was done yesterday with by Mike Rinder and Claire Headley with Mike Brown. You regular viewers saw I did an interview with Mike Brown a couple days ago. We're going to be doing much more in the near future. And Mike Brown's mother is someone, she's an elderly woman now, who dedicated decades and decades and decades of her life to Scientology Sea Organization, working at the highest echelons of Scientology's international management. She is someone who later on in her life is one of the many elderly Sea Org members that David Miscavige and his regime had cast aside and sent out to properties to die. And I'm not going to try to rehash too much of that story right now because it's very hard for me to discuss without getting emotional, and I'm not in that kind of a mood today. But I want to highlight a very important part of the story, which is that when Mike Brown and some of his close friends helped his mother escape from the Sea Organization, from the property where she was sent to die, after he rescued her, brought her to his home to be reunited with her family, they sent a demand letter to Scientology. And the demand letter, it was not a lawsuit. And the demand letter listed all of the horrific abuse Rosemary had been subjected to. And it also listed, itemized, over $163,000 that Rosemary had been defrauded of while a Sea Org member. A Sea Org member, an elderly woman, a Sea Org member, had over $160,000 worth of credit cards opened in her name, opened by others without her permission, without her consent, and had these cards charged so that Rosemary could get auditing that she, in Scientology, you fix health problems with auditing. And the Sea Org members were like, well, yeah, we don't really have anyone to audit you, but if you paid for the auditing, we would give the auditing. Anyhow, I'm giving a preamble. A lot of what I'm giving in a preamble right now is going to be touched on in the video clip that I want to show you. I just feel it necessary to kind of introduce it, even if it's a little redundant. You guys know, and when I say Scientology, the fall of Scientology is happening faster than most people realize. Guys, in the past, Scientology would drag you through years and years and years of litigation, hotly contested litigation, just over tens of thousands of dollars. Luis Garcia famously litigated against Scientology for years and years and years. He was asking for like $300,000 in change refunded to him, and they offered him like $14,000, and he's like, "Go shove it up your butt." And then they went into arbitration, and it was a whole debacle over a few $100,000. They probably spent millions of dollars in legal fees to not have to give him $300,000 in refund. In Rosemary's case, they merely sent a letter asking for the money back. They weren't even suing. And Scientology is so aware of the reality of their crimes and how these crimes, financial crimes, crimes against the elderly, put their tax-exempt status at risk, that without even a fight, they direct deposited $163,000 into her checking account without even telling her they were going to be doing that. Okay, that's probably enough of an intro here. I think I might have figured out my earbud problem. So give me 1 second here, and then we're gonna get into this. Started to do this live on air, guys. I guess that's just sort of a, oh man, there's nothing I hate more than audio problems, you guys. Audio problems and dead air. Come on, you can do it. Okay, good. We're all set up. You guys still with me here? Okay. Here we go. I'm not just going to play this through. I actually have 3 separate, very short little clips. I've got all the timestamps. Okay, get ready for this. I'm about to play this clip. They just got done talking about and showing an example and showing an image of of the extraordinarily detailed demand letter that Rosemary's attorneys sent to Scientology's attorneys. And Mike posted a copy of that demand letter on his blog, and a link to that blog post is in the description down below. All right, let's take a listen.
So again, the normal thing that people do is if they need to get legal representation, they then send a demand letter. This isn't a lawsuit yet. This is just like, hey, we're trying to resolve this like at the lowest level possible to do the right thing. Did Scientology make any effort to respond to this? No, they did not respond to the legal team. Brad and Brittany's firm didn't hear anything. Graham Barry didn't hear anything back. The day before our demand of exactly when we needed to hear response from them or it would escalate happened, Mom called me and she's like, Mike, I'm like, what? She's like, I just looked in my account. There's a bunch of money in it. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, somebody put $163,000 into my account. And I was like, wait, what? That's good news, but it's also very underhanded the way Scientology did this.
Okay, good. I'm going to jump forward and show a second clip here in a second. So Rosemary's attorneys send a letter to Scientology's attorneys. Scientology's attorneys don't respond to Rosemary's attorneys, nor do they respond to Rosemary, nor do they respond to her son, Mike Brown. Instead, Scientology just has one of its own staff members wire money directly into Rosemary's account. I'm sorry, I keep saying Rosemary. It's Rosemary. Okay, thumbs up, Jenkwe. Okay, all right, let me fast forward to 1/11/04, and that's close enough. Here we go.
Donations that everyone give. So by the money being sent directly to her, what they're trying to do is they're trying to basically cut the lawyers out so that the money wasn't recovered by the lawyers and then it would just be given back to us. And then hopefully we don't pay the attorneys.
Right.
So the first thing I did is I got on the phone with the attorneys and I'm like, hey, guess what? As good as that information is, there's something extremely creepy about this too. She had already sent them a letter saying, I resign from your organization. I am not working for you anymore. In order to initiate a wire transfer of that much money, like this isn't just some like, hey, I'm going to Zelle you some money on your phone for like, no, this isn't that. To initiate a wire transfer of that amount of money, you have to have all of the person's financial information. You have to have their address, their phone number, their full name, all of their bank routing information. And it has to be exact. And if it's not typed exactly right, that wire transfer won't go through.
Right.
So, and it just showed up. And in there it said, payment of funds to Rosemary. And so it's good that we got that money back, but at the same time, what a violation of privacy. She doesn't work for that organization anymore. Can you imagine if you worked for some company and it was like, I don't work there anymore, and all of a sudden they're digging around in your financials? Like the attorney reached out and the attorney's not the one who got the money back. So now we're like, okay, well, what are we going to do with this? So we contact the legal team. We're figuring out what exactly to do. And then we get a letter in the mail.
Okay, good. I'm going to fast forward to the last section. A little piece of information that some people might find interesting. When I found this out, I found it terribly interesting. But back in the day, not that long ago, all Scientology staff members and all Scientology Sea Org members were paid, when they were paid, in cash every week. I'm talking dollar bills and coins. Particularly for Sea Org members, this was true. Well, a number of years ago, Scientology said, we're not going to do this anymore. And they brought in bank representatives to all the Sea Org branches, and they signed all Sea Org members up for their own bank accounts so that their weekly staff allowance could be direct deposited into their checking accounts. What this means is that Scientology has on file the date of birth, the social security numbers, the account numbers, and the routing numbers for all bank accounts for all Sea Org members. That is how these guys were able to direct deposit $163,000 into the account of a Sea Org member who had escaped months earlier. So that's creepy and weird. Okay, so we're going to fast forward to 1/13/17. This is close enough.
Who is, I guess, here, I'm just pulling it up here. It's on my phone. Sorry. Apologies. To Rosemary Chickwalk with her address on it. Dear Rosemary, as you are aware, if you have any dispute with the church, your sole recourse is through Scientology ecclesiastical ethics and justice procedures, in accordance with the many agreements you signed. The church has no duty or obligation to return any donations. However, donations you made between 2011 and 2017 have been recredited to your bank account ending in, and I'm not going to say the numbers. This recredit was made at the discretion of the church. we determined these amounts should be returned to you due to your unique circumstances as you were a Sea Org member at the time. I wish you well. Sincerely yours, Katie Evans, Chaplain. Is that not the most touching, heartwarming letter that a person could possibly receive from their former church that embezzled a bunch of money from them?
Unbelievable.
The real question is, Mike, how many other people have they returned the funds to that haven't got legal representation? Look, this is pretty unprecedented.
Mm-hmm.
You back in my days in OSA, money didn't get given back to people without them signing a release. And releasing you from all future liability, we'll give you your money back, but you're going to release us so that you can't come sue us.
That's right. And I didn't intend to interrupt this clip here. I'm going to keep playing it in a second. They didn't even ask her to sign anything. They litigated with Luis Garcia for years and years and years and spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on attorney's fees over a few $100,000, and they offered him $15,000. And in order to even get that $15,000, he would have had to sign all sorts of agreements and NDAs and releases and everything. They gave an old woman $163K with no signatures. She hasn't promised not to sue. She hasn't released any claims. Nothing. It's truly remarkable.
Effectively, this money, in my view, the way that they just dump the entire amount without arguing about any of it or saying, oh, well, you didn't, usually it's, you didn't, this, we can't find records of this and we can't find records of that. So we'll give you what we have the records for, if anything. And they just took everything and put it all into her account the day before the, nuclear option was about to go into effect, in order to prevent that from going into effect. From my perspective, this is a tremendous admission of guilt. Like, completely. They know that everything that they did was really bad. And they sent that creepy little letter from a nobody so that there isn't anybody important to be named in a lawsuit. Like, whoever that person is probably didn't even know that that letter got sent out.
Yeah, and not to mention, they know that Rosemary has the names of many other elder people that they have similarly abused and ripped off. And if a lawsuit goes into discovery phase, they are in very, very hot water.
Yes. And that's the kicker right there. That is why they gave Rosemary Chickwak, Rosemary Brown, $163,000 direct deposited into her account with not so much as a signature or a heads up even, or an advance notice, because how Scientology's Sea organization has abused and exploited and trafficked and defrauded its elderly members as they are sent off to homes to die is the kind of stuff that, mark my words, will end up getting Scientology's tax exempt status removed. And David Miscavige will do anything that he believes he can do to prevent Scientology from losing its tax exempt status. The fact that David Miscavige is credited by Scientologists as getting Scientology its tax exempt status back in 1993 is the single most important factor that allows David Miscavige to retain power. There's other reasons, and by the way, most Scientologists don't even know that Scientology used to have tax exempt status, and then the IRS took it away because they found L. Ron Hubbard was guilty of enriching himself personally from Scientology's funds. As a young little Scientologist growing up in Scientology land, I thought 1993 was the first time Scientology ever got tax exempt status, and that's why it was such a big deal, and David Miscavige was such a hero. In fact, 1993, David Miscavige succeeded in getting Scientology its tax exempt status back. If Scientology were to lose its tax exempt status again, David Miscavige would he'd be in a little bit of trouble. And Scientology really is collapsing faster than people realized. It really is. And by the way, Rosemary has provided a detailed list of the other elderly members who have been similarly abused and the locations where those people are being held. And that information was also published on Mike Rinder's blog. And that's, again, why I published a link in the description down below to Mike Rinder's blog post, where he posted not only that information, but also the copy of the demand letter. Now, in this video clip, it said that this letter, these funds were deposited into Rosemary's account just before the nuclear option was set to take place. What they're referring to is the demand letter basically said, these are our claims. This is the money we've documented that you guys have defrauded Rosemary out of. And we need a response from you guys by this date, or we will be filing a lawsuit. So they deposited the funds the day before that date. Oh my goodness. By the way, the chaplain post that letter was even sent from, that post doesn't exist. There's no chaplain Scientology, Church of Scientology West US. That's why Mike said, I bet the woman whose name is at the bottom of that letter doesn't even have any idea that letter was ever even sent. That's something that was written up by a Scientology attorney or David Miscavige, and the letter was sent in the name of some nobody so that none of Scientology's executives would have any of their fingerprints on any of the documentation. In other words, there's not even any record that a Scientology executive even received Rosemary's letter. And that's exactly how they want it. What they might not have discussed in this video, I can't be totally certain because I haven't watched the entire video. It's 2 hours long, is that before this demand letter was even written, I believe, and I might have my facts on this wrong. I'll correct the record later when I talk to Mike Brown myself. It was either that a copy of the demand letter was also sent to Tom Cruise, or it was a precursor to the demand letter. That was just a letter written directly from Rosemary herself instead of an attorney to David Miscavige and to Tom Cruise saying, this is what has happened to me. I want you to know. You know, it was generously assuming, it was taking the viewpoint. The letter was being written from the viewpoint of someone who was still a Scientologist and wanted management to truly understand what was happening. You know, it was a very generous position to take. Mr. Miscavige, Mr. Cruise, you need to know what's happened. There was no response to those. Most of those letters were returned to sender, according to my understanding. And then the demand letter went out, and then the money was returned. Guys, we've come a long, long way from Scientology offensively and vexatiously litigating against its own former members to now Scientology's on the defense, where it has 5 civil lawsuits against David Miscavige and Scientology, plus a grand jury investigation into obstruction of justice. And now we have Scientology just writing checks and direct depositing hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep the barbarians at bay. Well, I think the barbarians are going to overrun the gates pretty damn soon. And it's going to come in the form of massive civil judgments. It's going to come in the form of criminal prosecutions, and it will finally come in the form of Scientology losing its tax-exempt status. And I would be shocked if 10 years from today, Scientology still has tax exemption. And I'll be here for it every step of the way, you guys. You know that's what I live for. All right, everyone, I'm going to be doing another thing here real soon with Mitch Brisker. We've got a great conversation to have this afternoon. Oh, you know what? I see all you guys in the super chats wishing me happy birthday. It's true. Today is my birthday. I'm almost old enough where I no longer enjoy the fact that it's my birthday, but today's probably the last. No. So I turned 43 today, you guys. Libra power. Jennifer, I've been actually contacted by several people in the last 24 hours who have the exact same birthday as me that I never knew. Like people who in my life who have the exact same birthday that I never knew. So happy birthday, Jennifer. Ken says, normally you'd say Scientology done messed up, but returning $163,000. This is awesome news for Rosemary. Explains no intro or did AA run done mess up. I thought I did the SPTV intro on this one. But yeah, I just figured I'd mix it up a little bit. Thank you for all the happy birthday, you guys. What's all this stuff? Did you ever get any feedback from Lex on Scientology Bulkaka? I actually asked Lex Friedman if he got any fallout from our interview, and he goes, "Oh, he goes, I don't check social media or anything." He honestly, his response to me was, "If they gave me any feedback whatsoever, I haven't seen it." So there you go. Let's see. Sarah, I imagine your birthday can be bittersweet. Ooh, don't get me, Sarah. Don't get me. Don't get me. The one true Morbs. What are the odds that it was someone trying to escape who sent the money without authorization before they blew? Not likely. Not likely. Barbara Mangano, thank you very much. Martha, thank you very much. High vibes. Thank you, Betty much. Rain Virus, thank you very much. All right, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with me this afternoon. Stay tuned for a chat with Mitch Brisker. As always, thank you for all of you who watch until the very, very end. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.